Meanwhile, there have been protests outside the residence of Israel's prime minister in West Jerusalem. Demonstrators are calling on Benjamin Netanyahu to reach an agreement with Hamas to end the war in Gaza and release the remaining captives. Qatar says Israel has not responded to the latest ceasefire proposal, which has already been agreed to by Hamas.
We are standing in front of our Prime Minister's home, asking for what the Israeli people want. A deal that will bring back 50 of our hostages now, before it's too late. We ask from President Trump, you did it before, do it again. Seal a deal and bring back 50 of our hostages.
Well, let's get the view from Israel and speak to Alon Pinkas, who's a former Israeli diplomat joining us from Tel Aviv. Mr. Pinkas, thank you again for being with us on Al Jazeera. Can I ask you first about the prevailing mood in Israel right now regarding the war's continuation and the fate of the remaining captives? Is the public still supportive of the government's insistence on its so-called total victory?
No, absolutely not, Folly. They're not supportive on the continuation of the war. And they are very skeptical and circumspect about this notion of total victory, whether it's attainable or not. And most importantly, they have very strong doubts and reservations about the idea of launching another military operation that begins with the encircling of Gaza City and will inevitably end up with the occupation of Gaza City. So on all three, the public is not supportive of the government, and this is not me telling you this, Folly, but this is expressed in multiple polls in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
So there's almost a 70% support in the Israeli public to end the war. The demonstrations that you see, however impressive they have not been massive in the sense that, you didn't see 500,000 people, 750,000 people on an ongoing basis. You saw two major demonstrations last week and this week, and another one is expected on Sunday. But the effect that these demonstrations have on government policy, unfortunately, are minimal at this point.
Interesting, because what we're seeing right now internationally is Israel facing growing isolation.
Right.
We heard it at the UN yesterday, even among allies. Does the Israeli government grasp the long-term damage being done to its diplomatic and moral capital, or is it deliberately prioritizing these so-called military goals in Gaza over long-term legitimacy?
Okay, I'm sorry, and I beg your pardon for being blunt, but the government is either living in complete denial or is completely stupid, because there's no way in the world that you can't grasp the extent of the isolation that you accurately described, Folly. I'll tell you more than that. Israel is pushing back when allies are critical. Australia was called anti-Semitic, and the French president was called as an anti-Semite fomenting anti-Semitism. And Britain was castigated, and Norway and Ireland and Spain and Canada and so on. The conspicuously absent factor in all this is the U.S. And what has happened with this, international isolation or verging on pariah state, is that the government is living in denial, or is too silly, stupid, as I said before, to recognize what's going on,
right,
and is relying entirely on the whims of Donald Trump, President Donald Trump.
Right.
Now, I will say this to you, as I said before on this channel. It is within Trump's power to stop the war with one phone call. He just did not choose to do that until now.
Do you think he wants to do that? I mean, we saw this meeting yesterday at the White House with Tony Blair and Jared Kushner, his former envoy for the region. He said, and Steve Witkoff, the special envoy for Trump, said that there could be an end to the war within a few months, a few weeks, I believe it was. Do you see that happening? Is that plausible? Could Trump pick up the phone today and convince Netanyahu to end the war?
There's no reason. I mean, Witkoff spoke about the end of the year. That's December. That's 4 months from now. President Trump spoke about 2-3 weeks, but no one takes his timetables seriously. It's always 2-3 weeks. 2-3 weeks tariffs, 2-3 weeks Ukraine, 2-3 weeks Greenland, 2-3 weeks Iran, 2-3 weeks Gaza. There's no reason for this war not to end in 2-3 days. That's the phone call I'm referring to, Pauline. If President Trump picks up the phone and says to Netanyahu, I've supported you until now, you had a just cause to do what you did in Gaza, I'm behind you, but you reneged on your promises. You made pledges that you're not living up to. And enough is enough. I'm fed up with this, and I don't believe that you are sincere. Therefore, you have 72 hours to end this war, or there will be consequences, without specifying those consequences. If that happens, Folly, and I know I'm speculating here and daydreaming, but if that happens, the war will end in 72 hours because Netanyahu will have no choice. Whether or not Trump will do this, your guess is as good as mine.
Very interesting to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for joining us on Al Jazeera. Alon Pinkas, a former Israeli diplomat, live there from Tel Aviv.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.